So, you have a vacant property. The site has been increasingly common due to rising energy costs and the shockwaves left by the COVID-19 pandemic. It's empty and securing it seems like an unnecessary expense. But what about the risks of leaving it vulnerable? This is Region Security Guarding with the top 10 reasons you should secure vacant property. Number 1. Flooding. The UK has its fair share of flooding at certain times of the year. Flooding means that you may not be able to enter your property for days, or perhaps even weeks depending on the damage that could occur. With somebody there to oversee flooding precautions, you may be able to come out of a bad situation relatively or completely unscathed. This of course depends on the location of your vacant property and drainage, which also calls for a thorough risk assessment. Number 2. Fire and arson. Fires can ravage buildings in no time at all, leaving businesses greatly impacted and perhaps even spreading to other properties around it. Arson is the deliberate act of setting fire to something to cause damage. Having the right protection and alarm systems in place can help to not only minimise the risk, but also help combat the fire if it does become an issue. Security guards can stop arson by informing the relevant authorities about suspicious behaviour. They can also address everyday fire risks, like faulty switches and highly flammable materials, so you don't have to. Number 3. Vandals. Many criminals vandalise buildings. There are multiple forms of vandalism, such as smash windows, sabotage equipment, and removing of signage. All of this can be expensive and stressful for a business to deal with. Most vandals are opportunistic criminals and strike without planning or forethought. This particular type of criminal behaviour can be greatly reduced by a security presence and security equipment. Number 4. Graffiti. Graffiti is a huge problem for vacant properties and used properties alike. Especially when working as a group, these vandals can rapidly create large areas of art that require timely and expensive removal to restore the building to how it once was. Empty buildings such as void retail premises are particularly susceptible to such vandalism and require preventative measures. Number 5. Theft. Even if you're sure your vacant property is completely empty of any stock, equipment or tools, there are many materials and resources that criminals will look to steal from a vacant building. For example, wiring, tiles and other scrap materials have notable value. These can be torn from your property and leave you with expensive problems and unusable premises. Number 6. Squatting. When a building is left empty, there is a risk that it will become home to squatters. Squatting is the offence of entering and living within a building without the permission of the landowner. When a squatter has taken occupancy in a vacant property, it can become very difficult to resolve the issue. Certain rules and procedures must be followed to do so, especially if the squatter has been in the building for a significant amount of time. It is highly recommended to do all that you can to avoid squatters being able to enter your building in the first place in order to minimise the risk. Number 7. Water damage. Relating to number 1 on our list, water damage may not seem like a big issue but can lead to very expensive and disastrous consequences to buildings. Water damage can occur from leaks in roofs or walls, from leaking pipes, or from many other sources. The damage can build up over time to cause big infrastructure problems. Checking your property regularly for signs of water damage and getting the necessary maintenance can prevent a lot of headaches later. Number 8. Fly tipping. Unfortunately, we've all seen bags of rubbish, old sofas or mounds of rubble at the sides of roads where they've been left by fly tippers. But this also occurs on vacant property. If opportunistic criminals see an area of land that is currently unused, they will use it to dispose of unwanted waste and materials. Some criminals make a living out of removing rubbish or materials from paying customers and dumping them in empty locations without permission. It is then a costly task for the property owner to remove the waste from their site. Number 9. High insurance premiums. When insuring a vacant property, it can be different and more complex than insuring an occupied one. This means that insurance premiums can increase. It is important that you discuss with your insurance providers about the changes to your policy and pricing when the building becomes vacant. This means no costly surprises further down the line. Number 10. Pests. When humans move out of a building, Uninvited animal guests often move in. Most of these passing visitors are harmless, but when numbers increase, so does the damage. Pests, whether they be rats or insects, can cause expensive damage and will need professional removal. You can't always rely on a passing predator. Pests can chew through wires and all kinds of materials that can be expensive to fix and replace. We recommend a humane pest removal service to remain pest-free. Aside from garden variety animals, you may also end up accidentally housing protected species, a lot of whom have specific extraction protocols that you need to follow. So, there you have it. 10 reasons why you should secure your vacant property. Just because your property isn't in use right now, it does not mean that it is not a valuable asset. Secure your future by protecting your vacant property today with Region Security Guarding. To request a quote, check out our website. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.